Starling, and this is Queen City Fame, where we put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame. Comedy is like vocabulary, and oh yes, honey, it's so necessary. Questionable content, you take a risk. The goal is to make people laugh and become the big fish.
So I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia, where women can't drive. And then I come to America, and women still can't drive.
Hi, ladies.
Hey.
So glad you guys could be with us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
My very first question I always like to ask is, who are you?
Hanna Alborno is a comedian, also an abstract artist. She is, her nationality is Palestinian, religion is Islam, and she's also bilingual. She speaks Arabic and English and poquito Espanol.
Shanna Hastie is a small town girl from a small town of Sumter, South Carolina. I call myself an entertainer, an encourager, and I enjoy making people laugh.
Melissa Ryan is a Brooklyn girl with a Southern twist, millennial, loves having fun, and I'm a fur mom of 3 baby dogs that are best.
Mimi Benfield is the gay of sunshine. I'm a touring comedian of 6 years, and I travel all over the country with my little dog.
Nikki Ritchie is a comedian, a barber, a mother, and a lover of pizza.
I love pizza too.
Same.
So when did you guys start testing out your comedic skills?
I started, actually, I was doing a play and I had my own monologue, and my lines were actually comical, so they were funny. The audience were actually laughing. And the people that I worked with, all the actors and actresses, they were like, "You never acted before?" And they were like, "Did you even think about, doing comedy?" So that's how I kind of got into it. Is I took a class with Comedy Zone and graduated, and it's going to be a year for me. So I'm a, fresh meat. And that's how I kind of started, is by doing my own monologue, and I was like, "Oh, I can do this."
Lit.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Melissa?
I started comedy when I was conceived. My mother was a booty call. So that's when I was a joke. But no, for real, same. I started, it's so inappropriate. No, but my mom got me on comedy, seriously. I've been, watching comedy series, The Moms Maidly, the Ellen DeGeneres, all those people. So she's always had comedy around me. The minute I turned 18, I was in a comedy club.
And while you're in college, you learn so many valuable lessons. Like, money manage, sacrifice, how to drink for free. Now, when I'm out with my friends, they always pick up the cutest guys. Me, I pick up the gay girlfriend that's out with the guys that night. It's cool, because I'm kind of down for whatever. Because the more I make out with her, the more drinks she buys.
So that's pretty much how I got started.
I started when I was 10 at a talent show, and I bombed, so it took me 20 years to get back on stage.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with it.
Nikki, how about you?
I started when I was 18. Got into the comedy club because one of my barber friends was like, "Hey, you're pretty funny." And I was like, "Oh, okay. You should do comedy." All right. And that's just been the journey since I've been 18. Just keep going, and I love it. And I don't think I could see myself doing anything else.
True.
Shauna?
In high school, I was just really funny. Like, that's what I was known for. I was funny when I wasn't trying to be funny. So when I became an adult, I got on stage for the very first time to do stand-up. Sucked, by the way, but I enjoyed those lights. And I said, I can do this. I can definitely do this. So that's why I'm here.
Anybody like to run in here? Any runners? Any like to work out? I like to run too, I like to run my mouth, my electricity, I keep it going. Y'all doing good though, y'all doing good.
You know what? That's a great segue, because I want to know your experience, your first time on stage. What happened?
Okay, so my first time on stage was about 4 years ago. That was my first time on stage. It was an open mic. And I actually did pretty well, but I ran out of material because the audience laughed when they wasn't supposed to laugh. And I got sick and I literally flew off a stage. So 3 years later, I did the comedy class and I did actually kind of decent, but I bombed, I'd say, on that first time. It threw me so off. It's hard.
Mimi?
When I was 10 years old, that really did happen. But I think when I in my adult life, I was 27 and went to an open mic. There was like 40 people signed up, and I was late, like I always am. So I was pretty close to last. There was 3 people in the audience, but I loved it, and I'm still doing it.
So Hannah, you are the newbie.
Yes.
What was your experience the first time on stage?
The first time I was ever on stage, I actually did a talent show when I was in 7th grade. And I lip sang to Mariah Carey, and it was awesome. The first time as a comedian on stage, the second time was when I did the play. It was called Motherhood Out Loud by 3 Bone Theater, and that's when I felt amazing, just being on stage and having that spotlight on you and all eyes on you. And then after that is when I went to the class and I got on stage. And being on stage, to me, it feels like home. Like all my life, all the jobs that I ever did, it was like being on that stage, holding that mic, talking. It was like, it just felt like home. Like, this is it. I found my place.
So I recently graduated from my 4-year marriage. And I must admit that the first year was a lot like being a freshman in high school. I was nervous and happy. I was naive a lot. And in the first year of your marriage, you're in this happy bubble where everything is just perfect. By your sophomore year, you start getting used to routine, planning vacations together. By my junior year, I started questioning my future. Most importantly, realizing there is no future in this marriage.
So name one thing people say that annoy you once they find out you're comedians.
Tell me a joke.
Tell me a joke.
Y'all get that too.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
so
right
annoying.
now.
Or you can use this in your little scene.
Oh, they're giving you material.
Yeah, they think they are.
Yeah. Oh, you should write this down. Like, no, let's not.
What about?
Mine is, oh, you're gonna make jokes about this job? I'm like, no, I'm definitely not gonna do that now. Definitely not talking about you.
What about your family members? When you first told them that you were gonna do comedy, because you know that comedy, like I'm gonna go to school to be a nurse, or I'm gonna be an engineer. You're saying I'm gonna do comedy. What was that? What was the first thing
the
they
same
said?
stuff that everybody like, tell me a joke. Put me in your skit. They're not too into it.
Yeah, I feel like my parents, I think, knew before I knew. So when I told them that I was going to do a stand-up, I actually invited them to my first stand-up show. And they both came, which was really cool, and they both enjoyed it, and I cussed a lot. It was like,
I was in a wave pool a couple summers ago, and the water forced my nipple out of my bathing suit, unbeknownst to me. And you know what? People started acting like somebody found a goddamn turd in the pool. People were screaming, everybody's running out of the pool, covering their kids' eyes. Meanwhile, I'm just chilling in the shallow end, pretending to be a washed up mermaid like I do. I was doing that for about 5 minutes before somebody came up to me and told me my nipple was out. 5 minutes, people. I wasn't getting paid for that.
hard for me to do in front of my parents to see me in that light, but it still felt really good, and they both were very supportive, which I think was awesome of them, because I wasn't for sure how they were gonna take it, since it is such a kind of odd thing to be like, hey, I'm gonna be a comedian, I'm be a clown, and that's what people think of you. So yeah, it's always different when you tell people that that's what you do.
Now my mom is like my biggest supporter. My grandmother is just like, is it gonna bring you money? Don't do it. That's kind of like where she's at. So, but my mother has my back, and like you said, cursing in front of my mom and talking about certain things is uncomfortable, but she, like, seeing her laugh is like the biggest joy I have. That's the best.
my mom, she won't come to see me because she thinks I'm making fun of her. I'm like, Mom, I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of Dad. But I did impress my father and my family when I did the play. They were like, okay, she might have it in her. She's a performer. She might. But with the comedy thing, they think it's just a phase. They're like, oh yeah, this is just one of your phases. But I'm gonna show them it's not.
You're gonna show them it's not. That's right. I'm telling you. So, what inspires you guys comedy? Like, where do you get your material?
Trauma
experiences, yeah.
Trauma.
I feel like if you think of comedy and like how, like in history, how comedy came about, it's about tragedy, really. And the great thing about comedians is we can make tragedy funny. We can make things that are normal in everyday life or maybe, you know, really bad in people's lives, and we can see the funny side of it. We have that ability to kind of switch the joke around and make people think of it how they wouldn't have already thought of it. So I feel like that's really where it comes from.
What happens when they don't laugh?
Just keep going.
Yeah.
You just keep going.
You keep going.
Yeah,
So you
just
tell
keep
a joke,
going.
you got to the punchline, and silence.
Yeah. Oh, it hurts. It does. It's like, oh, okay, I thought that was hilarious.
If
But
anything, it means they're listening. At least.
yes,
It's a positive thing.
Right. And I think
Okay.
even with that, sometimes if you tell the same joke, it depends on the crowd as
True.
well. Because you may have a laugh one night and then the next one like crickets. So sometimes it's the audience, sometimes it may be you. So, but you know,
Just keep
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do but keep
Right,
going.
yeah.
Whatever.
That's
It's a
it.
little.
What happens when you have a heckler? Somebody want to finish your joke.
Shut them down.
How do you shut them down?
Make it funny. Just like cop assault somehow. You know, like kind of a slick insult. Don't just scream at them. I hate when people lose it
Yeah.
and start yelling at the audience. Like that's not funny.
It's
Yeah.
not. It brings the whole crowd down, right?
Everybody.
Like, you want to get up here and do this? Go ahead. Because people think it's easy, but it's not.
Yeah.
So you just got to come up with a joke or something. Be quick on your feet, but.
I have brought hecklers on stage before.
Have you really?
Yeah, because they were like, oh, yeah. I wasn't mean about it. I was like, you want to try it out? And it was so bad.
Exactly.
So bad.
So do you feel that there's additional pressure for women in comedy to be attractive? To wear heels?
No.
No.
Makeup?
No.
I don't feel that at all.
If anything, the ones that are extra dolled up, they get a little less credit for that too. So, you know, that's kind of the way they got in there, I guess. But I don't feel they're funny. They're funny. I don't care what you look like.
It's actually a funny story. One time I was hooking up with this lady doing lesbian sex, and we were making out, and the camera moved suddenly. It was like a little quick, and she tried to keep with it, and she pulled something. Yeah, she pulled something, wound up with a lazy eye. Feel bad for this fictional person. And the thing I struggle with is like, if a lesbian has a lazy eye, would you say she was cockeyed? Is that a stupid joke?
Name 2 comedians that inspires your comedy. And it can be growing up, it can be currently.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah.
I like Amy Schumer and Maria Bamford. too.
Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers was my favorite.
Sarah Silverman and Margaret Cho.
Oh yeah.
Got one. Bounces.
Maysoon Zayed, I hope I did not say her first name wrong. Maysoon Zayed, she's Palestinian and she's actually disabled. And she got to meet Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler is one of my favorite. I memorize his movies. Love Dave Chappelle, Ellen DeGeneres. There's so many. Tiffany Haddish, yes. Definitely, yes.
Shanna?
Well, I mean, they've added some Mom's Mabley. Definitely one of the greats.
The OGs.
Yeah, really
OGs.
really OGs of comedy. So, like I said, Whoopi Goldberg, those individuals kind of inspired me.
So do you think audiences tend to subject female comedians to more scrutiny versus male comedians?
Yeah.
Yes.
And why do you think that?
Because they're not used to it a lot of the time, and I mean, sometimes people, I guess they speak for all women, but sometimes women want to hate, especially get some booze in them or something, and men too, they just don't have a little bit less respect for it. They're not used to female comedians. That's our job to change that. So
We're taking over.
Yes, we are. I asked a peer of mine, like, because they have these things called roasting battles. They roast people back and forth and joke about it and, you know, make harsh comments. I'm like, why don't you roast women like that? Like, why is that such a problem? He was like, yeah, women can't take it. Y'all too emotional. First of all, yeah, so that offended me, and that's why I was so happy to hop on this project, because I'm like, let me tell you something. We can take a hit, but you just don't ever try us like that. So
cursing on stage, is there a different reaction when men do it versus when women do it?
It depends on what it is, probably, and how you deliver it. I mean,
I think you got to know your audience. That's what I learned from the class. You got to learn your audience, because, you know, when you're writing, you could always make something that's clean dirty instead of making something that's dirty make it clean again.
True.
So I was in the elevator once, and this lady looks at me and she goes, "Oh my God, I totally forgot to eat today." And I'm all thinking, like, how do you forget to eat? So I just smiled at her and I said, "It's okay, I ate for the both of us this morning." She goes, "Oh, congratulations, what are you due?" Mother.
The best thing to do is just to know your audience, get a feel of who's your audience, who's looking at you, and then you'll be able to use it or not use it.
Yeah.
Who curses the most on stage? So cursing on stage, is it a nervous twitch, you think, for cursing that gives you an extra, few seconds to think of your next punchline, or is it just strictly part of your comedy?
For me, it's a part of who I am as a person. I cursed pretty much all my life. Grew up in a cursing home. So it's just been in my vocabulary, and it's hard to take it out of your vocabulary, especially when you're on stage and you're trying to be funny. I think when I'm being funny with my friends and families, I curse a lot. So that's kind of how I am on stage, is like I'm talking to my friends and family. So I'm gonna curse a lot.
It depends on the venue. Like for me, if the venue allows it, I always ask, like, can I curse? Because it's about to go down. But then other than that, like most venues, I don't curse because I think it broadens your horizon for male or female. It gets you in the doors a lot more, but I can go either one.
So do you feel like the media provides the same amount of coverage to female comedians as they do to male comedians?
No, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's definitely growing, for sure. It's the same with females in any kind of industry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you think so?
We're breaking through that glass too, and very slowly we're doing it.
Right.
Where do you see yourself, because we're here today, in the next year? What have you envisioned for your career?
Traveling.
Cancun.
Traveling, definitely touring.
Same. Touring, hopefully on a hit sitcom.
Right. Hosting a show.
Yeah. I would like to get a job writing for a show so I can have a little bit more stability, money-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I love touring, but I'm getting old. It's wearing me out. But I'm gonna keep doing it. I need a nap.
Writing, stage as well. So acting as well.
Acting. Everybody wants to be in acting, or acting?
I can do
If they make me do it, I'll do it. But I'm not very good. Y'all saw earlier. I can't. What do I do with my hands? I don't know.
Give me one joke. Every single person, putting you on the spot.
So, did you know that diarrhea is hereditary? Because it runs in your genes.
Oh no.
Really?
This is an old tag I do. What do you call a straight girl that hooks up with lesbians? We call her a spaghetti girl because she's straight until you get her wet.
Shanna.
So the man goes in the house, and a robber comes in and says, if you don't let me have sex with your wife, I'm gonna kill you. Or she could just bake me a cake. And so the husband walks out and then comes back in, and we're like, the robber left. He's like, so what happened? Did you bake him a cake? And she said, do I look like Betty Crocker to you? That's a long joke.
Melissa, I don't even have one. That was it. I don't even have one on hand. Listen.
I don't know.
Betty Crocker. I ain't about to lie to you. I ain't got one.
Yeah,
come back to me.
So
Clear.
So there was a guy who was eating. He had 3 peaches, and he was eating. He was about to eat one. He opened the first one. It was rotten, and then he was like, dang, he threw it out. So he opened the second one. It was rotten, and he threw it out. So you know what he did with the last one? He turned off the light and ate it. This is an Arabic joke that I just translated into English.
I was in Golden Corral earlier on my second piece of cake, and this lady decided to ask me if I ever heard of Herbalife, and I'm like, bitch, what you think? I'm sitting up here and damn Golden Corral on my second piece of cake. You think if I ever heard of Herbalife, I would be interested? Hell no.
All right, ladies, how can fans follow you? You have Instagram pages you can follow. Melissa.
Yes, Melissa. Melissa the actress, or MELYSSIOUS, malicious, on Instagram.
Nikki.
You can follow me on Instagram, Nikki Ritchie on Facebook, Nikki Ritchie on YouTube, Nikki Ritchie, LinkedIn, SoundCloud, same thing.
Mimi?
It's at Mimi Benfield, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and my website is gayofsunshine.com.
Love.
Shanna?
So I'm Shanna L Hastie, SHANNA L Hastie. Don't be so hasty. At Gmail, you can on there, and then Shanna.jokes on Instagram. Yeah.
So in my Instagram and my Snapchat, it's the same thing. It's BornoLady7. And then I'm Borno Chick on Facebook. That's BORNO. It's porno with a B.
Thank you, ladies, so much for spending time with me and just really educating, I would say, everyone on females in comedy, because you guys are no joke.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much for having us. It's very nice to meet you, Laura.
Guys, this is the end of our show. I'm Laura Starling, and this is Queen City Fame, where we put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame. See you next time, guys.
Stay away from Tupperware and don't you eat that meat. It's so hot in here right now because the Wi-Fi's cooking us as we speak.
You're afraid. Admit it. You're afraid that you might have a little bit of black in you. And listen, take it from me, someone that's had a lot of black in them, it's really not that bad.
What I am going to do is take negative words out of my vocabulary that no longer serve me, like the word diet. Like, why would I keep that word in there? The first 3 letters spells die, and then they throw that T in the end. And I think when I look at that T, it has some underlying messages to it, like today I'm gonna die, tomorrow I'm gonna die.
Being a nanny is surprisingly a racist job, because I got this job at Trump Estates in front of this big field and this big mansion, and one of the kids' names was Yessa and the other name was Massa. Yeah, same thing I said.
So my dad made it really easy for me coming out to my family, because he would drop me off to high school every single day and say, Hanna, stay away from the boys. I mean, I wasn't allowed to talk to boys and I wasn't allowed to date them. Come to think of it, I did have a lot of girls sleep over.
Queen City Fame serving up at the Mound. Make hits like the Panthers, pound after pound. Keep that southern energy, this motor go around. Jay the God in the biz, and I'm coming for the crown.
They know my name in the Queen City. I make it rain in the Queen City. I am the flame in the Queen City. I'm glad you came to the Queen City.